Before I made my last video talking about the casting choices for Henry Cavill's Highlander Reboot, I'd intended to talk about whether or not the reboot was even a good idea, and the comments on that video made clear that it's an issue that has people divided. So in this video, I'm going to talk about why I think that the casting of Henry Cavill as Connor Macleod is a good thing, whether or not we'll see the return of characters like Amanda, Joe and Methos, why I believe that the Highlander reboot as a whole can only benefit Highlander, and how I know it's meant to spawn a whole new universe. My name is David McMurdo and welcome to Highlander Lore, where you learn the deepest Highlander lore from a Highlander. First of all, yes, I did mispronounce Henry Cavill's name as Henry Cavill throughout that last video. YouTube's auto-generated responses suggested that I tell those of you that brought it up that it was the result of my Scottish accent, but that's just not true. I'm perfectly capable of saying Cavill, I just didn't for whatever reason. These things happen when you've got 20 minutes to record and zero time to re-record.
You still don't understand, do you, Macleod?
I am the end of time!
Now, I said that it was unlikely that Connor Macleod would be portrayed in the same way as he was when Christopher Lambert was playing him, so the question is, what will this Connor Macleod be like? Well, others have already pointed out that Cavill would be more suited to playing Connor's kinsman, Duncan Macleod. Cavill even somewhat resembles Adrian Paul. And you know what? This may well be director Chad Stahelski's intention. He's spoken openly about his fondness for the Duncan-led TV series many times, but if so, it may cause problems for reasons I'll return to. As soon as I heard that Henry Cavill had been cast as Connor Macleod, I was very happy as a Highlander fan, because it necessarily meant that the reboot was being taken seriously. And the calibre of actors that have been cast since only confirms that. Not only is Henry Cavill a big name, he's someone that's passionate about whatever role he does, and someone that's openly spoken about his love of Highlander previously, both the original movie and the TV series. He's also one of those actors that's acquired a dedicated fan base that have enthusiasm for any project he's involved in. However you might feel about him playing Connor Macleod, if you want a Highlander reboot to have the best chance of success, then Henry Cavill is the man you want involved. I happen to know that he has great influence over the movie, so this won't be a Witcher-style disaster where his enthusiasm for the source material is undermined by others wanting to do their own thing. As I've said, whatever changes to the mythology they do intend to make in this reboot, I personally have no problem with them, because I have no problem with new interpretations of Highlander as long as they're good, and the fact that Cavill isn't Scottish doesn't bother me at all.
You look like a woman, you stupid haggis.
Haggis? What is haggis?
Sheep's stomach stuffed with meat and barley.
And what do you do with it?
You eat it! How revolting!
But on the subject of authenticity, Karen Gillan, who is said to be playing Connor's first wife Heather in the movie, is actually a Scottish Highlander. She was born in Inverness, the capital of the Highlands, which lies just 100 miles south of where I live. So I'll be rooting for her, and I'm sure she'll do a great job alongside Cavill. Apparently there's more of an emphasis on Connor's life in medieval Scotland in this reboot than there was in the original movie. As to whether or not we'll see Watcher Joe Dawson and 5,000-year-old immortal Methos again, well, we're not going to see those characters played by those actors again, but given Stahelski's love of the series, I'd bet that we'll see comparable characters. There will almost certainly be a Watcher that's friendly to Connor, for one thing. As for immortal thief Amanda, well, Marisa Abela is apparently being cast as an immortal lover of Connor, something that the original Connor Macleod never had. The actress very closely resembles Elizabeth Grayson, who played Amanda, and may well be the new Amanda, even if not going by that name. If true, this would reinforce the idea that Henry Cavill's Connor Macleod may actually be closer to Duncan Macleod, because of course it was Amanda and Duncan that were lovers. For a Highlander nut like myself, this reboot is beginning to feel like a very surreal blend of the original movie and the TV series, but one that I'm totally on board with, because for one thing, I loved Duncan and Amanda's relationship.
You are the best man I know. You make people better, you know, people like me, people who didn't give a damn about anything in their whole lives until you came along with your big brown eyes and your Boy Scout rules. What, are you just gonna throw this away because you made one damn mistake?
Amanda!
Before I explain why this Highlander reboot can only be a good thing, please like the video, click the bell icon for notifications, and subscribe to help the channel. And to those who don't,
First, I'll take your quickening. And then, I'll take your woman.
thank you all very much for being here. I assure you that you're going to love what I've got planned for the weeks and months ahead. So, is this reboot a good idea or not? There's a certain kind of content creator here on YouTube whose entire shtick is to naysay any reboot or sequel the moment they're announced, and before they know the first thing about them. That's their whole business model, so I don't take objections from such individuals seriously. What I do take seriously are those that argue that you cannot possibly make something as special as the original movie, and I agree with that. In my overview of all of live-action Highlander, which those of you new to the franchise should definitely watch, I said this about the original movie. It's hard to praise Highlander beyond what has already been said so many times, but Connor has a certain phrase in the movie.
Hey, it's a kind of magic.
That phrase takes on a meta meaning, beyond it being a reference to Queen's album A Kind of Magic, which has always served as something of an unofficial soundtrack for the movie. This is because, due to a combination of Mulcahy's music video style direction, the entirely unique concept behind the Immortals, the music by Queen, the compositions of Michael Kamen, the mix of action, romance and tragedy, and the unusual presence that Christopher Lambert brings to the screen as Connor Macleod, the movie itself is a kind of magic. You could make a superb remake of Highlander, but you'd never be able to recapture that magic. There will never be another Christopher Lambert, or Christophe Lambert if you prefer, as Connor Macleod, another Sean Connery as Ramirez, or another Clancy Brown as the Kurgan. Nor can you ever recapture the pure 80s spirit of the original Highlander, a spirit that I would say is only equalled by that of the original Running Man. These are such 80s movies and it's glorious. But you know, artists didn't stop painting just because Leonardo da Vinci had created the Mona Lisa. There can be only one Mona Lisa, but that doesn't mean that there can't be great or even greater works to follow. The Highlander reboot will be different for sure, but it can still be great. Let's hear what the original Macleods, Christopher Lambert and Adrian Paul, had to say on the subject.
Why not redo Highlander? But don't try to copy what the first one was. Try to reinvent Highlander. And most difficult, try to find a new queen.
Yeah.
I don't know where they are, you know.
And if they asked you to be part of a remake, would you be interested in it?
Depends.
On what?
If it's a wink to the audience, yeah, for the fun of it.
Right.
If it's a real part, no, I don't think so.
I think it's not a bad idea creating a new character for the new generation, because remember that the old generation was based in Duncan Macleod and Connor Macleod. Of course, there are other immortals around and many other people that would be in that world. So I think having another character would be a pretty interesting idea if it was really formed into today's world. I also think bringing back, you know, some of the old characters wouldn't be a bad idea either, because you already have a fan base.
Chad Stahelski has stated that the classic Queen songs will be used in the movie, though in an unexpected way. I don't know what that means, but I think we can all be confident that it won't mean anything like this.
You like graveyards? I love them. I mean, who wants to live forever? Who wants to live forever?
I predict that this movie will be great, and I honestly just can't see any reason that it shouldn't be made. Even if it turned out to be the worst thing ever, it's not like it would cause the original movie to disappear from reality. That original movie and the TV series will always be there for us to enjoy no matter what, and one can hardly argue that the reboot threatens to taint the Highlander name or anything, because God knows that ship has sailed. I must once again refer newcomers to my overview of live-action Highlander if they need proof of this. I actually don't think that the awesome concept at the heart of Highlander has ever truly been done justice, but this reboot is a chance for that to finally happen.
5 for redemption. The game isn't over yet.
Another thing is that, no matter what, this reboot will reignite interest in the original Highlander universe, and I really hope it leads to re-releases of installments of classic Highlander. The original TV show badly needs a remastering for one thing. If you watch another 90s show like The X-Files on some streaming platform, it looks like it was shot yesterday. If you watch the Highlander TV series, it looks very much like the low-budget 90s show that it was. One problem is that the series was intended to be watched in a 4:3 aspect ratio, but most streaming platforms and even some physical releases force it into a 16:9 widescreen aspect ratio for the benefit of modern audiences. But all they're doing to achieve this is zooming in on the footage in order to fill the screen, and in doing so they're causing a portion of the top and bottom of the footage to be lost. Consider this shot from the Season 6 episode Indiscretions. This is how it was meant to be seen, but this is how it exists when forced into the 16:9 aspect ratio. You can immediately see the problem. This even results in most of the flashback captions being obscured, if not lost entirely. I use the 16:9 footage for my Highlander Lore videos as opposed to ripping my Immortal Collection DVD set because it works best for my videos. But if you're going to actually watch the series, you should definitely seek out the 4:3 presentation of it. There was once an advert for a beautiful Blu-ray remastering of the series that would have presented it in its intended 4:3 aspect ratio. But it's been at least 5 years since this was first mentioned, and we've heard nothing since this trailer. This is precisely the kind of thing that I hope the Highlander reboot ensures will see the light of day, and who knows, we may even see a new Highlander video game that doesn't end up being cancelled for once.
My blade defends the destiny of all mankind. Others may lose their head in the heat of battle. Not I. My name is David McMurdo, and I am immortal. There can be only one.
Now, people often talk about what a mistake it was that the original Highlander movie ended with Connor Macleod winning the prize, because it made it difficult to justify further installments. This is true, and the fact is that it really wasn't necessary, because the central drama of that movie isn't whether or not Connor will win the prize, it's his conflict with the Kurgan. If you just cut this line,
At last, the gathering.
This line,
So, the gathering is here.
and this line,
Castigear is gone. Only you and I remain.
and then don't have Connor talking about having the prize at the end, you still have a movie that's every bit as good. But the movie industry was very different in the 80s. These days, every producer hopes that their movie can spawn an entire cinematic universe, but back in 1985, they were just hoping they could deliver even a single good movie. And director Russell Mulcahy has even said that, back then, it was considered bad luck to assume that your work would be good enough to justify sequels. Chad Stahelski knows better than to end his reboot with Connor winning the prize, and has already spoken of his desire for there to be multiple installments, even possibly a new series. That's really exciting to me, because TV isn't what it used to be either. I mean, think about shows like Game of Thrones and Breaking Bad, and consider the kind of graphic content that they show. It's not like in the 90s when the makers of the Highlander TV series had to find a clever way to have a show about beheadings without actually showing beheadings.
You can't do it, can you?
There can be only one.
Finally, I've previously introduced you to the producers behind classic Highlander, William Panzer and Peter Davis, both of whom are no longer with us. Well, they were involved with the Highlander reboot too, and in a Hollywood Reporter article about the death of Davis, his son Josh recounts one of the last exchanges he had with his father. Quote, "In one of our last conversations, I asked him if he was going to retire after the Highlander reboot gets made at Lionsgate. I was trying to get him to think about slowing down, getting a hobby perhaps, but he just looked at me and said, 'Josh, after we make this movie, we're going to make 5 more.' Now the number 5 shouldn't be taken literally. The important point is that everyone involved with this Highlander reboot, present and past, had and has a shared intention that it spawn a whole new universe. But this brings us back to the issue of Henry Cavill's Connor Macleod possibly being a character more akin to Duncan Macleod. Henry Cavill is 42 years old, that's a year older than me. If this reboot is intended to spawn a franchise that carries on far into the future, then surely at some point the torch will have to be passed to a younger actor. It would seem natural to us Highlander fans that such a younger actor would be playing Duncan Macleod, right? But if the new Connor Macleod is indeed already Duncan Macleod in essence, where will that leave us? Only time will tell. That's all I have to say about the reboot for now. The next time I address it, I'll be laying out several things that it needs to get right and what it needs to avoid. But my next video will be more classic Highlander lore. So thank you very much for watching everyone. Let me know what you think about the issues that I talked about here, and remember, in the end, there can be only one.